so I'm curious about, how important is it for you and for your peers to have reliable access both to the internet and technology at school and at home to support your learning? How do you engage with technology in your learning day to day?
I think with technology comes also knowledge and understanding. Being able to have access to certain technologies and even just certain applications and systems make our lives easier and give us convenience. Making sure that we have access to Wi-Fi, access to specific applications, several different devices other than a phone, because a phone is limited. I understand that a lot of us think that phones are mini computers, in which they are, but it's still a phone is not as accessible or as out there as a computer. So being able to access those things with the proper Wi-Fi elements and the proper data is just more convenient for our everyday lives. And not only more convenient for our everyday lives, but they give us access to knowledge and resources that we don't even know or think of on a regular day basis.
I would have to agree and say, I think accessibility is one thing that I think, we should shine a spotlight on more, especially in my area. Once students leave school, they don't really have that, access, and they don't have that, one-on-one, experience with technology. It's once they leave site, they don't have that resource anymore. So I think making it more accessible to students and even parents to help, with learning outside the classroom, then, that's the one thing that we can use to implement, education and making sure that we have proper resources for students, rather than just going home and not having those things available.
Yeah.
I would say having four brothers, I couldn't imagine sharing one device. I feel like that would be just insane. Like, just I have to have my own things. Everyone has to have their own technology. I feel like just that experience in itself is very important for education wise, I guess. Like I'd use my computer all the time for homework, and there's so much curriculum to do. So like if all my brothers would have all these different type of curriculum, we can't just share one device. I think it's very important for being accessible to technology throughout, or yeah. So
and kind of the same boat as Brandon. Like I pretty much could not imagine having to share one device. But I would say like technology, I feel like it just helps just being organized. Like I don't think it's like 1970, 1980 no more. It's 2025. Like I don't want to keep writing papers, and that's just too much. It's too. I can sit there and go on my laptop and go on Google Classroom and find an assignment this fast, rather than having to go through my bag, go find folders, go find papers, all that. I just feel like it's so much more organized. I get all my work done. I mean, I feel like I personally can type fast. So like if we're talking about writing a paper, like I would rather be on my laptop and write a paper than physically write on a paper, and like that's just too much for me. And I think everybody deserves to have that luxury to be able to do that.
How are your schools thinking about like making sure that access to connectivity and to devices is something every student can have?
I think for DeKalb County, at least, every kid is given a Chromebook, and I think that starts in about third or fourth grade. Every kid is given a Chromebook that is given to them in the beginning of the year. We sign a contract through Digital Dreamers to make sure that we will be safe online. And we all get Chromebooks with the cord and a case to keep it protected. I don't know if they give out things for people who may not or may have Wi-Fi, but I'm pretty sure you can also they give out like free library cards so you can go to the library. And I'm pretty sure you can also access hotspots if needed.
And for me also, I just want to add on, like for Ladue, like throughout the years, especially in middle school, I know we get passed out like iPads and stuff like that. And I know they kind of switched it off, especially in high school, to MacBooks. And I do know that they do provide MacBooks to everyone, and everyone's able to take their MacBook back home. And even when we had iPads, they were able to take their MacBook or iPad back home. And they also provide like the laptop covers and all that. The only thing is, like, if you had broke your laptop, you don't have to pay for it unless your laptop cover wasn't on it. So, like, I guess that this helps people, like clumsy people. I guess there's a lot of clumsy people here, but I definitely think the spreading of technology, being able to go home and have a laptop is pretty. It's pretty nice at Ladue. I like it.
I think that COVID-19 and being within the pandemic, that really gave technology such a boost, and it really, we had to implement more technology into schools. Saying that, with being in the Salinas Union High School District in my area, we made it accessible. We made things accessible for students. They were able to take home their computers. And if they were restricted as far as Wi-Fi goes, we would provide them with personal hotspots. And I think that's such a great resource that we're utilizing. And, it's making it accessible. And, instead of restricting our students' learning, we are making sure that they are going beyond and really getting that experience of, well, I can learn at home. And, it's such a great thing that we're doing. And seeing the growth of students learning is just amazing.
So again, like Braylon said, with Ladue, they do allow our devices to go to home and stuff like that and do work or whatever, which I think is pretty nice. I will say, as far as Ladue in general, I don't think they do a good enough job with navigating technology, or teachers. And I don't think a lot of the teachers aren't really educated enough with technology to help kids navigate and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's kind of really not their fault. So I feel like there should be some systems where, like, you should educate more teachers with helping the students navigate technology and stuff like that, instead of leaving it up to the students, which there are some students that really are pretty good with navigating the computers and stuff like that, for the good and bad reasons, obviously. So I feel like the school really focuses on restrictions with the devices and not necessarily accessing different things. Like, my reading teacher doesn't even, like, she was talking about using Keynote, and she didn't know how to use Keynote whatsoever. I thought was pretty funny, but he had to ask another teacher and help her navigate Keynote or whatever. So I don't know. So I think teachers just need to do a little bit better job with navigating technology for students and stuff like that. So that's just my school though.
I know that teachers in counties in Georgia also have problems navigating technology. We, especially this year and last year, we changed systems. So we stopped using like Google Classroom and Clever and all of those things, and started using Canvas more. And goodness, some of those teachers still don't use Canvas. Some of them do. And if they do, sometimes they don't always know how to use it. So I definitely think more systems to train teachers on how to use specific educational platforms and applications, as well as training teachers how to use their computers in general. I have had teachers come up to me and like, Sawyer, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. How do I do? So I think definitely having teachers get trained on not only the applications, but how to use their computer in general would be an amazing idea.
Yes, I would agree with all of those things. I think it's really important that, we educate teachers, because at the end of the day, they are educating us. And I noticed on Sawyer's background, there's a whiteboard. In the Salinas Union High School District, we are using smart boards. So it's a digital TV screen that, teachers use as a resource in the classroom. But again, some teachers don't know how to implement those in their teaching styles. So, educating teachers across the board is just an amazing thing that we need to implement, because that'll only benefit their students and their learning.
Okay, I want to pivot back to cell phones. So this is a hot topic these days, and I, love them or hate them, however they show up in schools, like, they are a huge part of our lives. We all have them within arm's reach, typically at any given moment, night or day. And some schools have really strict policies around cell phone usage in school, and others are a lot more flexible. But we've been trying to learn from districts across the country, like, what's actually best for students and for learning. And so I'm curious about what policies around cell phone use in school that you think would make learning better? Like, what are the current, can you use your phones in your schools? What are your current policies? And how does that impact your learning, either, for good or for the worse?
Well, at Ladue, um, they make well. So if I get for so more last year, they were really strict on putting phones in these like pouches on the doors,
Ah, the
and
magnet
then
pouches?
I wouldn't not necessarily. They were more like they hang on the top of the door and like just hang on it. Like I guess they have a hook and then kind of just have like 30 slots, and you have a slot number and you have to put it in there and teacher will check and see
Got
if you
it.
had to put. Now this year, it's really some teachers like kind of lenient about it. Like you just keep it in your bag, don't let me see it. Or some teachers, want you to actually put it in your phone slot. But I mean, I don't feel like as long as it's really in your. I mean, most I would say like the majority of teachers, you can't really use it during class. I mean, you could definitely like after class, like in the hallways at lunch, all that. You could definitely use your phone, but like out. I mean, when we're in class or when we're learning or like we're doing school, they usually would tell us that, we can't use our phone or they'll take if we keep doing it, they'll take it for themselves or give it to the office or whatnot. But I think I don't think there's I mean I say it would definitely disrupt the learning environment using your phone during class. So I mean I'm not gonna argue with that. But so I think our policy is fine. I think I think we should have a level of trust though. Like I feel like we shouldn't have to put in a phone slot. Like I feel like that's set be like a repeated unless we like repeatedly use our phone in class, then like or like the class itself is like really bad with phones that we put in our slots. But I feel like just putting a slot just automatically is kind of like I don't know.
Honestly, I think this is such a controversial topic, all across the board. It's a very, there's a lot of points that go into, having phones in school. I think, students can utilize it as a resource, but then other times it can be distracting. And actually, I've gotten to witness this, personally. We were doing eighth grade recruitment for my FFA chapter, and we went to a middle school where they have implemented these pouches, and students are required to put them in the pouches before school starts. And you can really tell the difference between their level of engagement because, they're focused on the material that they're learning. So I think, this is a great way to engage more students in what they're learning. And, having that restriction is important because, we want to make sure that they're learning the stuff and, it only benefits them. And I think it's a great idea and we're using it for the betterment of their education.
So my county just released a policy this year called Disconnect to Reconnect, where there have been tester schools that get tested for the yonder pouches, which are the magnetic ones, or even phone lockers. I think my school is not one of them because I think we have too many technology pathways for that. But from my experience, from my friends that do go to those schools, they definitely have more engagement. But there are also ways that students kind of avoid that by putting like old cell phones in there or acting like they put a phone in there and didn't put a phone in there at all. So there's positives and negatives to it. I definitely think it is positive when it comes to students paying more attention in class and being more engaged. But I think that there are other ways to go about it, maybe. I know my school specifically, if your teacher says put it up, it's just put it up. And then if they have to repetitively tell you to put it up, it's just they take it for the rest of the class and then give it back to you at the end of the day or at the end of the class period. It really just depends on their policy. But I think sometimes there comes an issue with those policies when you take classes like computer science or photography or maybe even theater or cybersecurity or engineering where you might need your phone because not all school computers have access to every single application you'll need for those classes. So I think there's a way to go around it. I know for our policy, at least, if you know you need your phone for that teacher's class, you are allowed to use it for that teacher's class. And after that, you do have to put it back in its pouch or back in its locker or back in your book bag. But I definitely think when we're thinking of these policies or even making them, we must think about these other technology classes and other arts classes or classes in general that will need their phones for use.
I would say I feel like a lot of schools they always try to ban the phones and like that's such a huge issue and stuff like that, which I can understand because at the end of the day, you could tell somebody to put their phone up there, but I feel like there's always going to be a phone or two that's going to be in somebody's pocket or whatever. So I feel like schools should like implement iPhones educationally more. Like I think they should use phones in the educate like just in during the classroom, maybe doing cahoots on the phone or something to engage people using phones because you're never
Yep.
going to like get somebody to like not use phones at all and that's all they use every single day. So I feel like they should use that more in learning processes and stuff. And like my mom was telling me the other day, she mentioned iPads and iPads are like the thing between the phones and the computers and those can if you're in for example you said you're in photography or I don't think you said photography but some are
Yeah.
broadcasting or whatever you can use your iPad to take pictures and stuff like that instead of taking your phone out which most schools don't want you to take photos and all of that so yeah that's all.
Well, and what I'm hearing is like there isn't a one size fits all. There are places where phones can be really useful for learning, depending on what students are studying, what the class is. But there's also the challenge of distractions that many of you have called out. And I think similarly, artificial intelligence is something that educators across the country are trying to grapple with right now. AI is everywhere. So whether it's looking at things like ChatGPT or Grammarly, or even our search engines are powered by AI these days, AI is not going away. It is infused across all the world of work, all the world of learning. And so I want to talk about how it's showing up for you in your education. Like, how are you engaging with AI tools in your studies and how do you feel about this?
Well, me personally, like when I do there's certain assignments, especially writing assignments. I mean, I don't plagiarize, but I definitely think there's a lot of ideas I can get, especially when I use a site like ChatGPT. Like I just and sometimes it can also like, if I write an essay, I could write something, I could write a passage, and I might have mixed feelings about it, but I can just copy and paste it and ask ChatGPT or somebody like, hey, what do you think of this essay, or what can I improve on, and then I kind of can use that and be like, you improve it, like not me actually copying it, but like using what ChatGPT thinks, I
Right.
think you should, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I do, and I feel like that's something that I find productive when I do assignments.
I think that's a great point. I think that there's two sides to AI. Some people want to use it as a resource, and then at times people use it just to do their assignments and get it over with. So I totally see both aspects of it. I think it's a great resource that we can utilize. And I know I'm a broken record, but diving into the agriculture base of it, autonomous tractors, we're trying to implement AI measures in agriculture, and we're trying to have that evolution of what we can use like AI to make the job easier, to eliminate that process of hiring workers and paying for labor, because now our economy, it's so expensive to pay off labor and pay for maintenance and tractors. This is such an easy way to get things done around the industry. And we see that both in education, and it's a powerful thing that we need to use as a resource and not take advantage of that. So knowing the barriers and what we can use it for.
I want to say I'm a little bit against AI just a little bit compared to with it. Obviously, I mean, like anybody, I love using ChatGPT, like to use it as references for doing work like Braille said and stuff like that. But there's a lot of educational systems that can't even navigate Google Classroom or Google Drive, and then but we're going to use AI. Like there's on ChatGPT, you could take a picture of your assignment on paper, and then it tells you the answers. Like that's just so incredible to me. Like I feel like there has to be I feel like there shouldn't be no AI until schools can really like pinpoint how to navigate and how to use it correctly. So that way people just can't just I don't know. I feel like there should be a little bit more restrictions on it because the AI stuff now, like it's unbelievable to me. Like it's crazy.